Good afternoon and welcome to the Neumann Update. I'm Brooke Morris. Sorry for the delay.
And I'm Ria Troilo.
Yesterday marked the first snowstorm of the season. The National Weather Service called for less than an inch in the Philadelphia area, but that was not the case. Philadelphia was hit with 3 to 5 inches of snow. The snow started around 10 a.m. and did not let up until this afternoon around 1 p.m. As the snow switched to rain and sleet, driving conditions worsened, making it impossible for people to get to their destinations. It showed that no one was truly prepared for this storm, as the roads were left untreated and snowplow teams had a delayed start. Many streets were shut down due to struck vehicles, which then caused issues for plow trucks and salt trucks to do their jobs. The timing of the storm affected all schools in the Philadelphia area. Since students were already in session and schools did not know the true outcome of the storm, it was hard to determine whether early dismissals or cancellations would take place. Here at Neumann University, classes were in session until 2:30 p.m. After that time, all offices were closed and events were canceled for the day. Students brushed off their cars and headed out onto the messy roads. Some of Neumann's students updated us about the road conditions and filled us in on a couple accidents that occurred, including one of them was a Neumann University student. Not to worry, all students are safe and okay, but this storm was definitely not one to mess with. I personally only live 9 minutes down the road, and it took 2 hours for me just to get home, which shows how bad the roads were around our school. The snowstorm has been declared the biggest November storm since 1989. Now that we have a taste of winter, everyone is wondering when the snow will be back and if this year will be a hectic season full of nice white fluffy stuff.
Officials in Northern California put the death toll from the state's deadliest wildfire at 48 people. The Butte County Sheriff announced the grim news after the discovery of 6 more bodies yesterday. Federal officials have also declared a public health emergency in California as smoke from wildfires is affecting the air quality in many cities. Shares of Pacific Oaks and Electric are taking a hit as investigators look into the cause of California's deadliest wildfire. PG&E stock fell 30% today after the utility said its insurance wouldn't cover the cost if it's held responsible for the campfire. The company also revealed that a transmission line failed in the area just before the wildfire had started. The campfire has burned more than 135,000 acres, and fire officials say it is only 35% contained. FEMA Administrator Brock Long says the federal government is working with local officials to help provide aid for those affected by the wildfires. Interior Secretary Zink says this is the worst fire he's ever seen, and now is the time to look at the infrastructure. Zink says one of the main reasons these wildfires are so devastating is the dry and dead timber. Here's a soundbite from NBC's Steve Patterson talking about the unpreparedness that occurred in Paradise, California.
The town of Paradise has been almost completely wiped off the map. So when we have spoken to survivors, it's been in those little towns and cities that surround Paradise and at the evacuation camps that we've been able to get to. But lately, over the last few days, we have heard a lot of anger that there was little in the way of warnings, if any, at all. And so obviously survivors worried about what happened the day that firestorm erupted.
Legendary comic creator Stan Lee passed away on Monday, November 12th at the age of 95. You're probably wondering, isn't that the guy that played the delivery man, walked dogs, drank something, and talked to different characters in almost every Marvel movie? Yes, indeed. Lee was responsible for creating the comic world of Marvel and entertaining comic fans since 1939, creating notable superheroes such as Iron Man, the Fantastic Four, Captain America, Daredevil, Ant-Man, and his personal favorite, Spider-Man. Around the mid to late 1960s, Marvel entertained fans with superheroes on their screens in the comfort of their homes before transitioning to the big screen in the early 1980s. For years, Lee helped produce the most movies and television programs with the Marvel franchise, and even cameoed in some of the films within the Marvel Cinematic Universe. While Lee transitioned out of this earth, he was forever left his mark in the hearts of the fans.
The governor's races in Florida and Georgia, along with the Senate race in Florida, have
him just as a person, as a writer, and as a producer and all that. He was so amazing. He was so great. He was so talented, and he was so creative too. And that's really why I loved him, because he made something out of nothing, and that's not something that a lot of people can do. And I feel like it takes a special talent to do that. And he made such a great universe that people could escape to for a little while, and I think that's just what made people love him, and that's why I loved him so much. And just the fact that he's gone now, it broke my heart. It really did. I'm devastated by it.
The governor's races in Florida and Georgia, along with the state Senate race in Florida, have yet to be decided a week after the election. In Florida's Senate race, Senator Bill Nelson is a fraction of a percentage behind his Republican challenger, Governor Rick Scott, as the recount continues. Republican governor candidate Ron DeSantis is likewise leading his Democratic rival, Andrew Gillum, by a small margin. Critics of the recount process, including President Trump, have alleged fraud with no evidence. In Georgia, a federal judge has ordered certification of the election held off until at least today. Republican governor candidate Brian Kemp is ahead of Democrat Stacey Abrams in the tally, but Abrams argues enough ballots are still uncounted that it could force a runoff next month.
Now we're heading over to Duncan with sports.
Thanks, guys. Earlier in the week, the Philadelphia 76ers made a splash in the NBA, trading for All-Star guard Jimmy Butler. The trade sent Philly fan favorites Dario Saric and Robert Covington to the Minnesota Timberwolves, along with a 2022 second-round pick. The deal also sent former first-round pick Justin Pattinson to the Sixers. Butler didn't make his debut until Wednesday against the Orlando Magic. The game didn't go as fans would have liked. The Sixers dropped the game 111 to 106. Butler finished the game 6 of 12 shooting with 14 points, and J.J. Redick led the team in scoring with 22 points. Butler will get his next chance to play tonight at 7 against the Utah Jazz at home at the Wells Fargo Center. The highly anticipated Eagles game last Sunday against Dallas turned out to be a complete disaster for the Eagles. The home crowd let the team know how they felt with a parade of boos heading into the half, with only 3 points scored and 13 allowed against the lackluster Dallas Cowboys team. Things did not get much better as the Cowboys hung on for a 20-13 win. Zach Ertz was the only bright spot in this matchup as he hauled in 14 catches for 145 yards and 2 touchdowns. The Eagles head to New Orleans this week to face one of the NFL's hottest teams in the Saints. The Saints are coming off a 51-point performance against the Bengals, and the Eagles are going to have their hands full with this high-powered offense. The game is slated for 4:25 on Fox. On to Neumann Athletics, the women's basketball team continues to cruise as they picked up their second win this week against Albright. The Knights came out firing and never looked back. Nafisa Saunders continued her dominance from the first game and scored a game-high 30 points. Coach McNichol picked up her second win as the Knights head coach with a final score of 72-63. The Knights are back in action tomorrow in Newman's tip-off tournament at the Miranda Center. The opening tip is scheduled for 2 p.m. The men's team was busy over the weekend as they played a tip-off tournament of their own at Penn State Harrisburg. They split the games, picking up a win and loss, beating Lebanon Valley College 87-80 and losing to Penn State Harrisburg 67-59. On Wednesday night, the Knights fell 2-2 to 2-2 on the season, losing to Rowan University in a hard-fought battle. The Knights failed to score in the first 3 minutes and fell behind 17-0 to start the game. The Knights battled back to tie the game at 45 by halftime. The second half was controlled by Rowan as they picked up an 88-78 victory. The Knights were led by another double-double from Aaron Johnson-Chavis with 25 points and 17 rebounds. The Knights will be back in action tomorrow against Farmingdale College. Tip-off is set for 7 p.m. Back to you guys at the desk.
Thanks, Duncan. The biggest shopping day of the year is only a week away. Many associate the history of Black Friday with the financial crisis that happened in 1969 when the stock market crashed. In the 1960s, the term Black Friday was popularly used in Philadelphia when citizens and tourists would cause chaos in the streets the day after Thanksgiving. Celebrating in the streets was a pre-celebration to the annual Army-Navy football game. 1980s, the Black Friday became associated with retail shopping. The ultimate plan was for retail stores to get their profits to go from red to black. If stores' profit was in the red, that indicated that they had taken a loss in profit, while black indicated success in sales. Black Friday has now become bigger than ever, with stores promoting weeks in advance to draw in shoppers. Popular items brought include electronics, appliances, furniture, and of course apparel. Big stores such as Best Buy, Walmart, and a few other stores have begun to open for shoppers as early as 5 p.m. on Thanksgiving, while other stores wait for their sales around 5 a.m. Friday morning. Here's some statistics from 2017. According to the National Retail Federation, 77 billion people shopped in stores on Black Friday. Adobe Analytics analyzed that between Thanksgiving and Black Friday, 7.9 million was made through online purchases. That's 17.9% increase from 2016. Whether or not this year's statistics will show about Black Friday, that's all for this week's update. I'm Brooke Morris.
And I'm Ray Benet Troilo. Have a great weekend.